He'd been shot in the jaw. Had a bad day, but he lived. The governor of Texas was sitting right in front of President Kennedy. You notice there's 3 rows of people here. The president and his wife, the governor and his wife, and then 2 Secret Service agents. Governor Conley was in a bad seat because if people shot at the president from in front and missed the president, they hit him. If they were behind the president and they fired shots and missed the president, they hit him too. As a result, Governor John Conley had a bullet that went through his right wrist. He had one that went in his left thigh. He had one that went through his chest. He was all shot up. He should have changed places with his wife. But anyway, just kidding. I know. President Kennedy didn't fare as well as the other 2 guys, as you know, or you wouldn't be here. The car turned the corner up here and started to come this way, and that's when the shots began. The first shot hit the president in the throat. It went in at a downward angle, and it came out back here with a hole 4 times the size of the entrance wound. That's how we know it didn't come from back there somewhere. Never in the history of firepower did a bullet go in a body, make a big hole going in, and a little hole come out the other side. Physics would have to cease to exist. So, the shot came from the front, shot him in the throat. 2 seconds later, one came from behind. Hit him in the back, about 2 inches below where the other one came out. Here's an autopsy picture of his back. Here's his head. There's the exit from the throat shot. Here's an entrance wound. That one only went in about that far, and it had to be removed during the autopsy. And the bullet was hand-delivered to J. Edgar Hoover by 2 FBI agents who got the bullet at the autopsy itself, signed a receipt for it, and hurried right over there. Hand-delivered it to J. Edgar Hoover. Once the FBI had that bullet, it was never seen again. How convenient, right? This is the Zapruder film. It was filmed at 18.3 frames per second. We never saw it till he released it on national TV in 1975. This is Robert Groden. Robert released it with Geraldo Rivera. Before that, all we saw was a few single frames in Life magazine. But the fluidity of the film is what showed that the assertions of the Warren Commission that all the shots came from behind the car were incorrect, and it got the case reopened. Now, I start 1/18th of a second before the headshot. By here, James Tague down by the underpass has already been hit. The governor's been hit 3 times. Missed shots have hit the car, the concrete, the sidewalk. The president's been shot twice. Jackie's checking on him. What's wrong, sweetie? You don't look like you're in a good mood. Boom, his head blows up. And it knocks him back and to the left. The Warren report said that the headshot knocked him violently forward, consistent with a shot from behind. But it doesn't. It knocks him back into the left. He bounces off the back seat, and only then does he come forward. The whole back of his skull is blown out. It's called the occipital protuberance, that big bump back there. I shaved it just for you so you can see what I'm talking about. But anyway, you see that X right there? That's where it was blown out. It flew back into the left through the air and landed by the light post across the street. Jackie, his wife, jumps on the back left part of the car to grab another piece of skull. She was only 34 years old. Second youngest first lady ever. The only one younger was Garfield's wife. She was 21. Pervert. Anyway, the smoke comes billowing out over the knoll from the fence right here, right after the headshot. It's caught on NBC photographer David Wigman's film. It's the same smoke the witnesses write about in their affidavits that day. And people run up here. About 150 total end up converging on a guy behind the fence here in the corner who pulled out some credentials, flashed them around, and said, "Hold on, I'm Secret Service. I'm holding the area secure." And he ordered everybody to leave the area, and that made sense for about 25 minutes till the head of the Secret Service here in Dallas showed up. He said he never had anybody up here. He said whoever it was bluffed him and got away. Said the same thing at the Warren Commission. Well, when Robert Groden released the Zapruder film on national TV, it shocked Washington so much they voted to reopen the case, except this time with a congressional investigation. It lasted 3 years. It hired an army of investigators. It wasn't just the president's panel. And in 1978, Congress reversed the whole Oswald lone gunman fallacy. They said it was a conspiracy, that at least one shot did come from behind the fence to a 95% probability. Later, the National Academy of Sciences questioned the way they did the math, so they did it, and it came out 98%. That's where it's been ever since. So, anyway, Robert here served on the Church Committee, Rockefeller Commission, the House Select Committee on Assassinations, the Assassinations Records Review Board, every investigation the government's ever done on this. And it was his job to analyze all the pictures. But here's the thing. President Johnson didn't want us to see anything. In fact, there's still 16 million pages of documents unreleased on this. Until 2039 at least. President Johnson, at the end of the Warren Commission, signed an executive order ordering the government not to release anything for the maximum allowed by federal law. And there was a law in the books at the time that said that the president could secret stuff from us, we the people, for up to 75 years. 2039. So that's a long time. It's another 25 years. Well, you don't have to wait. You're here, he's here, he still has his copies. They're free to look at while you're here. 344 pictures, 300 of which are not released yet by the government. He was the staff photographic consultant of Congress. It was his job to analyze all this stuff. I will warn you, the page 26 through 29 are some of the autopsy photos. They're not there for shock value. They're there because they're the best visual evidence that the headshot had to come from in front of the car, not the rear. Because again, if it came from the rear, there'd be a little entrance wound back here and a big exit wound up here. If you just walked up, I want to show you the picture. The autopsy pictures show the opposite. Instead of a little entrance wound, you got a massive exit wound in the back of his head. All 22 doctors that saw the body, every one of them, said the bullet entered here from the front and blew out the back and part of the top. The Warren Commission never even saw the pictures, by the way. This is where they said it entered and it blew out the back and part of the top. Part of the top of that same hole is what Jackie grabbed and tried to put back on. Anyway, Robert here served on all the investigations. He's got the pictures. Father's Day's coming up. He's got about 15 ties in the closet he doesn't wear already. He'll love this. He'll watch it a few times. It's interesting as heck. The films that are on here cannot be played in America. They can't be played across FCC lines. There were 122 people filming. The only one you ever see is the Zapruder film, the one that he released on national TV. His documentary is rated #1 in the world 3 years in a row as a documentary on the case by Videomaker Magazine. Have a free look. It's $35 on the website. Here it's $25. He absorbs the tax and he gives you the $10 magazine with it for free. He also has a Father's Day special. The second $35 DVD there is only $15 if you get the first one. So you get all 3 for $40. Before you go, though, I want you to say hi to a witness who's actually here that day. His name is Mike Brownlow. He was 13 years old, out on the sidewalk with his grandma and his aunt.
We were.
He still lives here in Dallas. He's lived here his whole life. He was a little white kid, and it scared him so bad. That's him in the red and white plaid shirt. And he'll tell you what he saw and heard. And you can pass that memory on to your great-grandkids 95 years from now that you once met and talked to someone who's actually here that day. Pretty cool bragging rights. That picture is on page 7 in here, by the way. If you flew here, you've already read the Skyball magazine twice. If you drove, you need something to read on the way home. Get this. It's only $10, or it's free if you get the documentary. And I thank you for coming and remembering President Kennedy. And may God bless. Robert?
Thank you, Mr. Monson. Great presentation as always.
Folks, if you haven't seen the magazine yet, please take the opportunity while you're here. The magazine has 300